Hi everybody, so it's back to school time again. Christmas is over and we are looking at labeling stationery and uniforms today. So I've done a video on this before. I didn't do the Printable Htv labels though, so if you've watched my last video on labels, you may already know some of the stuff that I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you again. Making labels is super simple. We have actually focused on print and cut throughout the month, so we've learned lots of tips and tricks. I am going to go over a couple more, but if you have any questions, you're welcome to leave them in the comments, or alternatively you can look back on some of our previous videos this month. Maybe those will answer the questions for you. So the first video of the month we used glossy photo paper. The second video was Printable Htv, and we are now focusing on Printable Htv and printable vinyl, which we're going to be using for the labels. So I'm going to show you how to make two different types of labels, and then we're going to look at methods of applying those labels. So you're going to want to say new project. Okay, so one thing to remember is when you're making labels, you don't want to have sharp corners. Now, in the ones that I've made, I've actually used sharp corners, and that's simply because I'm going to be using a clear vinyl over it. If you don't have a clear vinyl, then please use a rounded corner. So you can do circles, you can do the squares or the rectangles with the rounded corners. I like the circles for stuff like your glue. It can go onto the lid. It can also go into your shoe. There's a lot of things you could use the round labels for, and those will obviously be a lot harder to come off than something that has sharp corners on it. So you're going to want to start with a rectangle. You're going to unlock that. Your width is going to be 4 centimeters and your height is going to be only 1 centimeter. So on the labels that I did, I actually went, I think, 1.5 centimeters, and I went 2, and it really was too big. So once I've printed it and cut it, I can see that it is too large for what I want. Last year I used the sizing of 4 centimeters and 1 centimeter height, and it was actually perfect. So it sits very nicely on the pencil. Obviously, the bigger you make it, the more it's going to wrap around, but I'm going to show you how to do the wraparound label as well. So you're then going to want to duplicate this, and you're going to unlock that, and you're going to change your height to 4.16. So if you are using a clear vinyl, you will then change this color so that it cuts separately, and you're obviously going to have one of these for each of your little pencil labels. So let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to show you this one first, and then I'm going to show you how to do the wraparound label. So let's duplicate this, and that's going to be if we use printable vinyl for our entire wraparound label. Okay, so it's going to be the same concept for both. Let's change this to the color that we want, and we're going to insert our text. So we're going to put, I like to use a very bold font so that it is easy to see. So my go-tos are always in the BFC range. And there is one that I really do like. It's called, I think, Cute Chick. There it is, very cute. So we're going to want to make that smaller. So what we can do is we can actually make this, we can make it doubled, and we can change our line spacing. So we're going to say minus 5.5, that's going to bring it together nicely. We can change our alignment so that it's all to the left if we want to. Let's zoom in a bit. Let's make that a bit larger. Okay, so it is advisable to use white with a black border. So we would put an offset, let's say 0.02, apply that. We've got a nice black border. That's going to help it to stand out nicely. We're then going to insert an image. So here's my advice. For the ones that I did, I actually uploaded images. So what happens is if you upload a 10 megabyte image, even if you resize it on your canvas, you're still working with 10 megabytes worth of image. So if you multiply that 10 times, you're now working with 100 megabytes of this image. You've then also got your squares that you're using for the backing, your fonts, your offset. You're working with all of these images on your design space canvas. That is going to slow it down, and you are going to battle. So I definitely did battle, so I would suggest using a Cricut image. So let's look for a cat. And I really like this guy, he's super cute. We'll add it to the canvas. And we're going to size that down. Let's just keep sizing it down. Let's zoom out a bit. Okay, zoom back in a bit. So I do zoom in and out depending on the size of the thing that I'm working with. You can make this large and work with it large and then make it smaller, but it does affect your end result basically. So this one we're going to align bottom, and then this we're going to align center horizontally. Oopsie, sorry, we're going to align that center vertically. Okay, wait, let's say undo, undo, undo. That we're going to align center vertically. We're then going to flatten that. So as always, we're going to add our offset of 0.001. We're going to apply that. We're going to change our offset to basic cut, and we're going to contour it. We're going to say hide all contours. We're going to change it back to print then cut, change the color, and then say flatten. So this is something that I do for all of my print and cut images. For me, it just helps me to know that it's going to cut perfectly every time. I'm not going to have any issues with it. So there you have it, your label for your pencils. So what you can do is you can actually just resize these according to all your different things that you have to make. It depends what it is, what size you need it to be. So you can even have book ones that are much larger. So we'll unlock that. And there we are. Now we've got a sort of large book one. Okay, so let me show you how to do a wraparound label. So what I like about the wraparound label is that it gives a lot more hold onto your pencils. So what you would do, let's get rid of that because we don't need it. So we've already created our template here. We're going to change this to white because we don't want to waste our ink. We're going to align this center horizontally, and then we're going to align it bottom. We're then going to flatten that. So what's going to happen is that your label is going to be the last part that you put onto your pencil. So you're going to attach it to the pencil from here first. You're going to wrap it around, and this part where your name is going to be the very last piece that sticks onto your pencil. So what you would then do, let me show you. So if you didn't know, you can actually work on 2 different screens on Design Space at the exact same time, which is really lovely if you have more than one machine. So you would say File, New Window, and it will open up a new window for you. You could then have a different machine selection on each of the pages, and you could actually work both of your machines at the same time. Another thing it's really good for is if you want to move elements from one project to another. So this is how we're going to set up our print. I use this print and cut template all the time. I'm so grateful that Mandy has shared it. So you can find it on Mandy's profile. You're going to search Mandy Del Moro, and you will find her over here. And on her profile, she's actually shared this lovely print and cut template for us to use. So you would then say edit a copy. And you're going to place all of your content into this what I love about it is she's even taken into account the corner pieces. So you're going to get the absolute best utilization. So we'll say copy. And we're going to say paste. Now we can go about playing Tetris and getting everything sorted. So these would be your wraparounds. What you would do is you would just duplicate it for however many you wanted. And you would place them all over your screen. You would then have your book labels. You could have your little labels above that. And what you would then do is you would move the template out of the way. Obviously, once you've filled up the screen, you would then select all of your items and say attach. So for this, you don't want to flatten it, you want to attach it. So it's going to keep it as individual items. It's just going to stay together when you go to your Make It screen, so that everything is exactly where you want it. You've worked out the best utilization for your space, and you can go and cut it. Okay, so something that you want to remember is that you're going to work differently with your printable HTV than you are with your printable vinyl. So the way we've set this up would be perfect for our printable vinyl. Let's detach this. So with your HTV, you're not going to need these wraparounds. You would only need something like this, and if you're like me that has a little one going to creche, probably something like that for the blankets. So with this, what you're going to want to do is you're actually going to want to leave a bit of space between your labels. Now the reason for that is that the printable HTV is not stuck down onto its backing the same way that the sticker vinyl is or normal HTV is. It is quite loose on its backing. So if the stuff is too close together, it's actually going to rip as it cuts because it doesn't have enough grip onto its backing. So I will show you once we're done with the design portion what happens when you do that. So yes, you want to get the best utilization of your space, but in the end, maybe it is easier to just leave that little bit of extra space. What you can also do, and this is something that I love about it, is if you don't have a Cricut, you can still make these labels and cut them by hand. So what I would do in that regard is I would probably duplicate, so these I would align left. We would get them as close together as possible, and then we would align them left, and we would duplicate them. So if you're going to be cutting them by hand, oopsie, undo. If you're going to be cutting them by hand, I would suggest lining them up perfectly, and that's going to give you a whole lot less to cut. So I'm going to show you the difference between cutting by hand and cutting with a machine. So if they're all in line like that, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 snips, whatever it is, and it's going to be very easy for you. If you're going to be doing it by machine, please do leave space in between them so that the machine can actually cut it without ripping it. So I would leave sufficient spacing. You're still going to get a bunch of labels out of it, probably more than your kid needs. So, I mean, with one sheet, you could probably do 2 kids. That would be perfect, I'm sure. So you would probably do something like that, and then again, you would attach it. So remember, we're not flattening, we're attaching. So I think we're good to go on this. I'm going to get to making it, and then I will show you what it looks like. So I've cut out our labels, and I'm super impressed with the Craft Buddies printable vinyl. I have used it before, I absolutely love it. Look at how beautiful and vivid that is. So with this, I printed it on an Epson EcoTank, which is obviously an inkjet printer. And I used the high quality setting, the gloss paper setting. So that worked perfectly for me. So with the printable vinyl, you're going to use your high quality setting. That's going to give you the best print possible. So I did run into some problems with the printable HTV. So I usually print using a laser printer, and I printed using and inkjet. So as you can see, the color is a lot duller. It doesn't look bad though, I can still use it. So this I printed on normal quality. I am going to test on an inkjet if high quality gives a better result. Remember, on a laser printer you have to print on normal quality for the Printable Htv. So these are the ones that I cut by hand. As you can see, I did put my stuff very close together, and what happened was it actually just kind of ripped it because there was no space for the blade to move around it. So these ones I cut by hand. It was super simple. I just had to cut up, across, and I had my labels. And I like these because they are separated. So let us have a look at the printable vinyl first. So I absolutely love these. So if you watched my video last year, you will remember that I did ones for my other daughter, and these are still going. They're still on there. There's been absolutely no peeling whatsoever, and it has lasted the year. So this was a mixture of the printable vinyl and the clear vinyl. If Craft Buddies doesn't have any clear vinyl, what you can try is some of this contact paper. What is this called? Self-adhesive book wrap. You could actually use this to make your wraparound labels. You basically just want something that's going to help it to stick. So we are going to do two different things here. We are going to do something on here. So I haven't bought stationery yet. We're only getting it early January. So I'm just going to show you on some stuff we have lying around. So this is going to be a wraparound, and this is going to be a normal label. So for the normal label, we are going to apply some heat with a hairdryer and see if we get a better result with that. So as you can see, here's our label. Like I said to you in the video, I did make mine a little bit too thick. 1 centimeter would have been perfectly fine. I think I went 2 centimeters. So you would apply and just kind of roll it. And as you can see, it's actually sticking beautifully. But to give it some extra protection, let's say, we're going to apply our wraparound that we have created with our clear vinyl. So this I would apply over like that. There we are. And just wrap. Super simple. So this one's very long. I did cut it by hand though, because I wasn't going to cut all of them now. So that was very long. So what you would do if you created your wraparound labels with these, you would apply the label section first. So let me cut this out so I can show you. This is if you had done it this way. I didn't. Okay, so what you would do is you would apply your label, so your unprinted side first. You would wrap, and this would overlap that. And that's going to give you the absolute best hold possible. So that is how you would create a wraparound label using your printable vinyl. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply this using a slight amount of heat from the hairdryer. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to stick this on first, like so. And it is super sticky, so honestly I don't even think that the hairdryer is necessary. You can see there it's holding nicely. You can see it's holding really nicely. Okay, so I have my hairdryer. It's going to be pretty loud, and I'm going to apply some heat to it, and that's going to activate the glue a little bit better, and it's going to help it to bend. So I think this would be most beneficial if you were doing one of the pencils that had the sort of octagonal shape to it. That would probably help, but we're just going to have a look and see. Okay, so we have applied heat, and I'm a little scared to touch it because remember, a lot of printers actually work off of heat. So when you heat it up, look at that, that's pretty cool. So remember what I said in the video, you're not going to want these sharp edges if you are not putting the wraparound on it, and the reason for that is that it's a lot easier to get hooked. But this is like on there. This is really cool. I'm super happy with this. Look at that. That is on there. So that is our stationery labels. Super, super simple. I love the way they turned out. So vivid, so beautiful. So now we're going to have a look at our iron-on labels. So remember, we ran into the issue where there was too much space left between the transfer tape and the actual clothing label, or the label. It wasn't a label, it was a picture that we did. So we are going to try to make sure that there is no gaps. So there we are. Something else I did notice is that I had actually done a cold peel or a cool peel, and it literally says it on here that it is a hot peel. So we're going to move that out the way. We're going to peel a section back, and we do want our little scrapey tool for this because we want to try and make sure we have no bubbles. So what you can also do, I'm pretty sure, is when you, so you're going to obviously space your things better than I did, and you're going to have a little gap in between each of them. So you could actually apply this onto it, and then you could cut it out. And that, or you could cut it out, and then apply this, and then cut it by hand, so that you would have that left over, basically, which is going to be a lot easier for you than applying one to each and every little piece. So you would then obviously remove this backing. Okay, that is ready to be pressed. So I'm using my mini press. If you don't have a mini press yet, it is quite a good investment, especially for school labels, because you're just going to be ironing a small section. There we are. We have our little garment. Oops, she wants to turn off. I hear you and I'm here. Okay. Let's see if this is going to fit. Yes, it will. So I like to put the name labels on the back right by the little collar piece so that it's not going to cause extra irritation. So I'll put it under there. So we've got it. Oopsie. So what we're going to first do is we're going to heat our item. Can we see it? Let's move it down a bit so that you can see. There we are. Okay, we're going to apply it. So I pressed that for 12 seconds. And it does call for a hot peel. I'm kind of scared. But you know what? That worked a dream. Wow. No color came off. That came out beautiful. Where's it? There we are. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's so soft. Like, it's super, super soft. So there you have it. Clothing labels and stationery labels, and you can make those at home. Again, if you don't have a Cricut, that's completely fine. You can use another program to design it in, and you can cut it by hand. So it is super simple. In the Printable Htv, I think you get 5 sheets, and in your printable vinyl you get 10 sheets. So that's more than enough to do all of your kids' labels, and I am ecstatic with that. That is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. I'm super happy. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that that's helped you with your school labels. And I can't wait to see what everybody does.